Thanks, Valerie. And thanks to everybody here in the Zendo too, and out there in the Zoomdo, for your practice, for your presence. Welcome home, Joan. It's great to be here. A little sound check on something else here, especially for the Zoom folks. Can you hear that? Okay, great. That's cause my text tonight is going to be a chant. It's I've selected this beautiful chant, Hakuin, Song of Zazen, which I think everyone picked up on their way in. And I think we're going to be able to put it up for you folks out there as well. Hope so. But please remain muted as we chant, or we'll have a cacophony you wouldn't believe. So let's start by finding the note and kind of tuning up. We'll just chant the first line of the. There we are. We'll chant the first line of the sutra a few times just to get tuned up. Okay. From the beginning, all beings are Buddhas. From the beginning, all beings are Buddhas. Now feel free to harmonize. So, from the beginning, all beings are Buddhas. Anyway, from the beginning, all beings are Buddhas. Choir practice. From the beginning, all beings are Buddhas. Great. Here we go. Hakuin, Song of Zazen. From the beginning, all beings are Buddhas. Like water and ice, without water, no ice. Outside us, no Buddhas. How near the truth, yet how far we seek. Like one in water crying, I thirst. Like the son of a rich household, wandering poor on this earth. We endlessly circle the 6 worlds. The cause of our sorrow is ego delusion. From dark path to dark path, we've wandered in darkness. How can we be free from the wheel of samsara? The gateway to freedom is Zazen Samadhi. Beyond exaltation, beyond all our praises, the pure Mahayana, observing the precepts, repentance and giving, the countless good deeds and the way of right living, all come from Zazen. Where then are the dark paths to lead us astray? The pure lotus land is not far away. Hearing this truth, heart humble and grateful, to praise and embrace it, to practice its wisdom, brings unending blessings, brings mountains of merit. And if we turn inward and prove our true nature, that true self is no self, our own self is no self, we go beyond ego and past clever words. Then the gate to the oneness of cause and effect is thrown open. Not 2 and not 3, straight ahead runs the way. Our form now being no form, in going and returning we never leave home. Our thought now being no thought, our dancing and songs are the voice of the Dharma. How vast is the heaven of boundless samadhi, how bright and transparent the moonlight of wisdom. What is there outside us? What is there we lack? Nirvana is openly shown to our eyes. This earth where we stand is the pure lotus land, and this very body, the body of Buddha. Thank you. That was beautiful. Beautiful snowy night. You kind of warmed up the Zendo there. This sutra, this chant, this poem, this Song of Zazen, I find it beautiful. It's joyful, it's reassuring, comforting, and inspiring. I could chant it again. You ready? It declares in the first line, from the beginning, all beings are Buddhas. That's you, yourself, you. All of us, everything. It's all right here. Buddha nature, original face, true self, original mind, original love. As deluded and doubtful, as skeptical and cynical, as traumatized, as hurt, as weary as we are, as poorly as we might behave, and as weakly as we might sometimes practice, it's here. It's right here. In fact, we are it. Hakuin has a great compassion for us, to be so close and yet so profoundly distant and so far flung, and compassionate because we suffer that hair's breadth of difference between self and other, the distance that's like the distance between heaven and earth. He's got that compassion, Hakuin does, because he was there himself. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about his life. Hakuin Ikaku Zinji, born in 1680, died 1769. I'm just going to stop there and say that means something to me. I mean, there's an intimacy there for me. I mean, that's almost contemporary. It's only 300 years ago. He's a contemporary of George Washington. And, you know, we think of Dogen, Bodhidharma, you know, 12th century, 6th century, Shakyamuni Buddha 2,500 years ago. So this feels so close. So Hakuin was born in a small village called Shoji, I think. And he was the son of parents who were, particularly his mother, a very devout practitioner of the Nichiren sect. They're the ones who chant Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, I think. And that's the title for the Lotus Sutra. And that title is purported to contain the entire Lotus Sutra. So Hakuin's mother, a very devout, very pious woman, probably influenced his path a lot. So one day as a little boy, he's listening to a Nichiren priest or monk deliver a discourse on the 8 levels of the hot hells. And he was terrified. He was fearful and gloomy about that. Just couldn't get that out of his mind, and began to beseech his parents to allow him to become a monk, figuring logically that maybe that's the way you avoid this terrible fate of rebirth into hell. And at age 15, they relented. They allowed him to join the monastery, the local monastery in Shoji. And after a couple of years there, the master died, and so he moved on to another place fairly nearby and studied there. Lots of different things happened. For one, he was taught at some point in his early career as a monk that no, becoming a monk does not guarantee that you don't go to hell in the next life. In fact, it may be worse. If you're a monk or a priest and you don't get enlightenment, you're bound to go there. So, oops, And he kept practicing. He At age 24, with another master, he had a big breakthrough and was not confirmed by the master. So he left and went to another temple. And he quit along the way, quit being a monastic more than once. And at one point, he and a group of 12 other monks decided to go off, and he didn't go home and confess this to his parents. He didn't want to shame them or himself, but he went and studied where he could literature and poetry, and became quite a poet, and later quite the calligrapher as well. And it was at the temple where a poet priest was practicing that he prayed to the Dharma gods to show him a path. There was this pile of books in the temple floor, and he just went and picked one up, and this was going to be his path. And it turned out it was a book about the Zen practitioners in the Ming dynasty. So he was inspired and rededicated himself to monastic life. Found a master that was very well reputed and very harsh. And this master asked him, why are you seeking enlightenment? Because he'd come to decide that only enlightenment would save him from hell. So why are you seeking this enlightenment? The master asked him, and he told him, I don't want to go to hell. And the master said, that's a selfish reason, and became even more harsh with him for years. But he practiced and practiced. Finally, at age 41 or 2, he had this tremendous awakening experience. He'd had many satori experiences prior, but this breakthrough happened. And his big insight was this Lotus Sutra that he had kind of not liked back when he was a teenager. He thought it was lame, and it just a bunch of parables about cause and effect. But when he had his insight, when he had his great breakthrough, this insight just flooded him that the Lotus Sutra contained the truth. And that truth was that this Bodhi mind, this awakening that he'd been seeking all these years, was nothing more than compassion, giving, helping. And so he went back to his home, Soji, and became the priest at the temple there, and taught there the rest of his life, 40 more years. He was harsh and tough with his monks and students, but he was purported to be really, really gentle and sweet and kind with the villagers. And he loved going out into the countryside and teaching and helping in any way he could. Very soft and compassionate to the lay practitioners. There's an anecdote that illustrates this point a little bit. There was a lovely young woman in the village whose parents discovered that she was pregnant. And they wanted to know who's the father, and she didn't want to out her lover, so she lied and said it was Hakuin. And so when the baby was born, the parents go to Hakuin and say, you're the father of this baby, you take it. And he goes, is that so? And takes the baby. His reputation was ruined for a while, but he had enough connections. He was able to get milk and food and raise the baby, I think, for about a year, till the young woman was finally confessed to her parents that it was actually a man who worked at the food market who was the father of the baby. So ashamed, they come back to Hakuin and say, we found out that's not your baby, and we'll take it now. And he said, oh, is that so? Just gentle man. So getting back to that's Hakuin. Getting back to the chant here, to the Song of Zazen. here we are. The gateway to freedom is Zazen Samadhi. Not freedom someday, freedom now, right now. What do we want? Freedom. When do we want it? Now. Say it again. What do we want? Freedom. Right on. When do we want it? Now. You got it, sisters and brothers, you got it. You're free. You're free. Taste it. It's freedom. Look at the snow. It's free. You're free from birth and death, let alone rebirth and hell. Freedom from self and separateness. You are now free to move about the country, but understand you never leave home. Your home is always where you are. What is pilgrimage? I don't know. That's it. Most intimate. Wherever we are, pure lotus land. If we can see clearly that true self is no self, our own self is no self, he says, we will be enlightened by everything. We all recall the Dogen quote, to study the way is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be enlightened by the myriad things. To be enlightened by the myriad things is for body and mind of self and the myriad things falling away. And this falling away goes on infinitely. No self is the great liberation. We can go anywhere, never leave home. We can stay right here and contain the whole world. Our dances and songs are the voice of the Dharma. It's my favorite line. It reminds me, if you'll indulge me, I'm a Dylan freak, of my favorite Dylan line in Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man. He says, yes, to dance beneath the diamond sky, with one hand waving free, silhouetted by the sea, circled by the circus sands, with all memory and fate driven deep beneath the waves. He goes on to say, let me forget about today until tomorrow, but I think I would rewrite that line a little bit. Let's forget it now. Let's forget tomorrow too. Let's forget yesterday. It's just now. Hakuin says, our dances and songs are like the voice of the Dharma. We are one with our birthright. What a joy. We're like innocent children dancing in the field. Nirvana's right here on this wheel of samsara. Where's Buddha? Right here. You. Okay, let's chant it again, Buddhas. This time with feeling. Hakuin, Song of Zazen. From the beginning, all beings are Buddhas, like water and ice. Without water, no ice. Outside us, no Buddhas. How near the truth, yet how far we seek. Like one in water, crying, I thirst. Like the son of a rich household, wandering poor on this earth. We endlessly circle the six worlds. The cause of our sorrow is ego delusion. From dark path to dark path, we've wandered in darkness. How can we be free from the wheel of samsara? The gateway to freedom is Zazen Samadhi. Beyond exaltation, beyond all our praises, the pure Mahayana, observing the precepts, repentance and giving, the countless good deeds and the way of right living, all come from Zazen. When there are the dark paths to lead us astray, the pure lotus land is not far away. Hearing this truth, heart humble and grateful, to praise and embrace it, to practice its wisdom, brings unending blessings, brings mountains of merit. And if we turn inward and prove our true nature, that true self is no self, our own self is no self, we go beyond ego and past clever words. Then the gate to the oneness of cause and effect is thrown open. Not two and not three, straight ahead runs the way. Our form now being no form, in going and returning we never leave home. Our thought now being no thought, our dancing and songs are the voice of the Dharma. How vast is the heaven of boundless samadhi, how bright and transparent the moonlight of wisdom. What is there outside us? What is there we lack? Nirvana is openly shown to our eyes. This earth where we stand is the pure lotus land, and this very body, the body of Buddha. Yeah. You know, last Thursday, we had this beautiful sharing gathering, this listening session. And it's just touching. Hakuin would have been proud. This lotus insight that what we're about is to help. We're about compassion. That is wisdom. It's the same thing. And in that meeting, these beautiful volunteers came up to, you know, there's just this leadership arose to help, to just as the residents help us with the Zindo, you know, Becky and Ryan and Joan and Guy and Joe just containing and holding the space for us, and the motivation to extend into the grounds, you know, Karen and team with the, you know, the caring for this beautiful place, and then these eco dharma turtles, Bill, is going to go out into the world and, you know, just try to help this earth, this planet. And more. I know Julie wants to help in other ways with sewing pillows for the kids down at the border. The kids are coming across the border. It's pillows to give them something to comfort them. So, just thank you, everyone, for your practice, for your presence, and for your gifts, and for your service, and for the privilege of, you know, giving me the privilege of speaking tonight. Thank you.